Pokemon Go is doing Shadow Pokemon. Let's talk about this. What's up everybody, StevDeS here. What? It looks like you just woke up? Well, I kinda did, and this is an unscripted video because this is my personal take on the rumor going around, which might end up being actual fact, about the Shadow Pokemon coming back in Pokemon Go. I have absolutely nothing against Pokemon Go. As a matter of fact, I've considered re-downloading it because I know I missed out on my favorite generation, personally, Gen 3. But I just never... I don't think the Shadow Pokemon's going to go over too well. Now, not to say that the game isn't fun and that I'm sure they're going to put it in a way that actually makes sense, but you're talking about a game that has a lot of multiplayer aspects, and what was the one aspect removed from the other Shadow Pokemon games? Oh right! Multiplayer with infected Pokemon. Yeah, you can't have any Shadow Pokemon with you can't fight Shadow Pokemon with regular Pokemon. You just can't. So they're gonna have to do something with the stats, otherwise this isn't gonna work. Now granted, Shadow Pokemon can't level up, and that was a key feature of the gameplay. I just don't see it going over well in this app like it did in the games. And sure, I don't like looking through like the gold-plated glasses, the sweet coat, the wonderful feeling that is nostalgia. But in this case, we really need to look at what made Shadow Pokemon popular. Let's look back at the two games that defined the typing. Well, it's not really a typing, it's more of a condition. Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. First of all, why the heck is with the XD and Gale of Darkness? I don't know what that's for, but I'm guessing it's more along the lines of, we got a sequel! Regardless, when it comes down to the Shadow Pokemon, you have to do them right. And from what I've heard, they did Team Rocket pretty well. They could have Team Rocket as the villains. They could have a whole separate campaign like, hey, this is where a campaign's happening near you. Go here and do it. Okay. Well, it's not really as in-depth. In the first game, you're a renegade that once worked for the evil company, traveling alongside a woman who could actually see these Shadow Pokemon for you to be able to use the snag machine that you stole in order to capture all of them and purify them. You were sick of what they were doing. That's all you really needed. Along with your Umbreon and Espeon and this girl that can see them, it made sense. It was campy, the characters were actually identifiable, and actually really goofy. Nobody misses Mirror B. They even gave you the choice of a starter in the beginning, a blue, red, and green minion that had different starters, already evolved to the second stage. That was convenient. And when a Shadow Pokemon was purified, all the experience that Shadow Pokemon earned while it was infected carried over. How does this not translate well to Pokemon Go? Considering you level everything up with Stardust and yeah, it's got a limit as far as the CP of every Pokemon as you upgrade it. The system is drastically different. But okay, it's an app. It's a mobile app, so naturally things are going to be different for the Pokemon series, right? Well, obviously, yeah. Honestly, I always looked at the Shadow Pokemon as Pokemon in need, Pokemon who are suffering. And it's up to you to snag them from trainers and get them back. This is where I have a bit of an issue. It's not like you're snagging them from trainers and there is a big bad actually spreading out these Shadow Pokemon to trainers who don't know better. You're legitimately just catching them. And that kind of takes away some of the importance. Let's look at Gale of Darkness now. In Gale of Darkness, let's admit it, everything was increased tenfold. From the style, to your starting Pokemon, to everything going into the game, everything was improved. You can't save... In the original, maybe I had a corrupted disc looking back at the footage, but you couldn't save deep in a bad guy's lair. You actually had to go out, save, and then come back. Which, I don't know, did anybody else have that issue? Because I kind of did. Like I said, I can't prove it, but maybe I just had one of the early copies and it was a little bugged. And later copies fixed it. I don't know. Regardless, in Gale of Darkness, you don't have an annoying sidekick because the Pokemon Professor gives you a snag machine that has a radar attached to it. That's genius! That's a way to get around not having to tote around this woman who can show you where Shadow Pokemon are. Your starter is the second most popular Pokemon mascot, Eevee. However, one thing that this game does get right is following the Eevee aesthetic. What's the Eevee aesthetic? Well, the first game started you out with an Umbreon and an Espeon, two of the newest evolutions at the time. So what does this game start you out with? They start you out with Eevee. If you want to turn it into a Jolteon, you can. Vaporeon, Flareon, Umbreon, Espeon, but that's it. Because at this point, that's all that was available. So, naturally, you're not going to see Glaceon, Leafeon, or Sylveon. Oh well. Not like anybody misses Sylveon. So, how will the Shadow Pokemon translate well to Pokemon Go? It's a hard call. They're really going to have to make the story in depth and make you feel like traveling to these places to fight Team Rocket or whatever team they decide to introduce actually means something, because the Shadow Pokemon need to mean something. The explanation was that the door to a Pokemon's heart was sealed off, causing this angry rampage. If you're gonna introduce Shadow Pokemon to Pokemon Go, you have to make it worthwhile. You can't just say we're releasing Shadow Pokemon, there's gonna be Shadow Pokemon all over the place. You have to give the villains a goal. Actually have some sort of antithesis. Pokemon Go doesn't seem like that game that has antithesis. That seems like a game that, hey, walk around and collect Pokemon in your world. Which, again, is a novel concept. It's a really good app. But, sadly, if you're talking about story with this, I think you're going to fall flat, Niantic. I just don't see it. But, maybe after the Shadow Pokemon do release, I'll change my tone a little bit. If you want to see that video, go ahead and comment below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and if you want to hear more rants like this, then by all means subscribe. I'm sure I'll have more in the future when it comes down to gaming. I do apologize for not having the what if. It's written, but it was about this topic, so I needed to talk about this topic. What? StevDeS is doing a Pokemon video? Well, I thought about it. Let me know if you want to see an actual Pokemon what if. So, like the video if you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao. For the sake of the franchise, I really hope this doesn't suck. I really do.